live today. We are doing the live on confidence and self-esteem. My name's Emily, and I've been a wellbeing coach here for about 6 months.
Hi, my name's Kay. I'm also a wellbeing coach here at Isropia.
So today we're going to do a little bit of a discussion about confidence and self-esteem. We're going to go through what confidence is, what self-esteem is, how we can build our confidence and our self-esteem, and then answer any questions that you guys have. But this is a platform for obviously our members, but also for members of the public that aren't under Isropia at the moment. So if I just give you a brief introduction to Isropia. So we are a mental health organisation that aims to empower you to find the power of your own mind and change the way that you think and combat your mental health in that way. So we love hearing your thoughts and your experiences on confidence and self-esteem. So please do ask any questions or engage in the comment section. But this is a public platform for everyone to watch. So please be mindful about what you share and only share if you feel comfortable doing so. And yeah, I think we'll get to it.
Get going.
Yeah, so the first question is, what is confidence? What is confidence and self-esteem? So in my mind, confidence is a feeling of like self-assurance and arising from kind of like an appreciation to yourself and your own abilities, and being able to handle your emotional well-being in terms of like whatever comes your way. What would you say is confidence to you?
Well, I think confidence to me is just about obviously like the outward things that I do. And it can vary from area to area. I can be confident in one thing and not another.
I think as well it's about how you interact in the world and how comfortable you feel interacting in the world, because sometimes I feel really confident or I'll look really confident and I won't feel confident, but it comes across differently to how I actually feel. So I think that's quite an important one to talk about, because we can always have an idea in our mind that actually we feel really anxious or we feel really nervous and we don't feel like we're going to be able to do it, but it comes across that you're just breezing through the situation. So yeah, I think that's a really good point to bring up. And then self-esteem is kind of linked to confidence, because it's talking about that inner ability. It's kind of self-esteem kind of is your inner confidence, isn't it?
Isn't it? It's how you feel.
Yeah, the belief that you hold within yourself and in your abilities, and also just like respecting yourself. I think if we have a good level of self-esteem, we can do those healthy things that we know our body and our mind deserve to feel good. So yeah, and then it's also whether you like and value yourself as a person, and whether you're able to make decisions. I know when I really struggled with really low self-esteem, I was so unconfident in my ability to make decisions. I'd be like, oh, I don't know. And now that my self-esteem's a little bit higher, I'm more confident in my ability to make decisions.
Yeah, and I guess at times your confidence could be high, but your self-esteem could be low.
Yeah.
They don't have to match each other.
No. Yeah. And that goes back to what I was saying about what you look externally and how you feel internally. And self-esteem is also about recognizing your strengths and your weaknesses, and focusing on the positives. I think here at Isropia we kind of really try and say, okay, what are we good at? What's our meaning and purpose? And use those things to go through life focusing on that. Whereas when you're self-esteem's a little bit lower, we tend to look at the negatives, like, oh, I'm a horrible friend, or kind of self-deprecate your character. So yeah, that's a little bit of an introduction to the topic. I think what we'll do next is, how can confidence affect our self-esteem? I think we spoke a little bit about it, but I think it goes with, because our confidence is our self-esteem in a way. I think our self-esteem is that internal confidence, and I guess if that internal confidence is higher, then our self-esteem will be higher, because we'll be more positive about our abilities, and we'll be more productive about getting things done and working through things in a healthy way. So yeah, I think they are really linked, and they are really kind of, they go
together, but also
yeah.
not,
I think like we were saying, that we were talking just before about how, what kind of things do we have about our really low self-esteem, and our really low confidence, and I think this topic is something that I've struggled with for a really long time, because when I was younger, I was really tall and much bigger than all of my other friends, and I was really, really insecure about that, because I was taller than all of the boys, and I was like, oh, everyone thinks I'm a giant. So I really internalized myself, and then that affected my mental health massively, because I didn't want to go out, I didn't want to go see my friends, I didn't want to go out and socialize, and I just really wasn't very confident. And that's because I was talking nastily to myself. I was assuming that everyone thought that I was a giant, when actually they probably didn't care. And yeah, maybe they thought, oh, she's tall, but that probably was the extent of it, and that's okay. And now that I'm older, and I'm pretty much average height, I think my confidence is a lot higher, and therefore I speak better to myself. And I don't focus on appearances really at all. And I think that that's really helped my confidence and my self-esteem. But Kay had a really good example.
Yeah, well, I do struggle to stand in front of groups of people and talk, and even doing this live is something that I'm not overly confident in. But if you were to stand me in a room full of 100 people, I'd quite happily stand there and sing to them, because that's an area that I'm really confident in. But it's just about channeling the confidence I have there, and knowing that I do have the ability to do it in other things.
And that's what we mean, is that you could be confident in your ability to be a mum, or you could be confident in your ability to be a friend or a partner, but you might not be confident in other areas, like socializing, or in your job, or anything like that. And it's okay to have different levels. I think it fluctuates as well, depending on what kind of mood you're in, how you're feeling in yourself, whether you're anxious or not. I think our anxious mind can sometimes be our biggest bully. So that can affect your self-esteem and your confidence a lot. But ways to build confidence, I think, is quite a good, they've got some quite good strategies. So it says that confidence is built on accomplishment. So if you achieve small things, and here at Isopia we always talk about doing things in small doses, doing little changes, little steps, as to not overwhelm yourself. So if you set yourself small targets, and use those small targets to achieve a bigger goal, then your confidence will increase, because you're like, oh, actually I'm smashing this. Yeah. And actually I can do it, because you're doing it in chunks, instead of setting yourself, okay, I'm going to run a marathon next week. Your confidence and your self-esteem in that, well, your confidence isn't going to be very high, because I'm going to be like, well, I haven't run in God knows how long, and I'm going to die, and I'm going to have a heart attack and all of these irrational thoughts. And then my self-esteem, when I don't achieve that, will have a knock. So if I was to say to myself instead, okay, I'm going to go for a long walk this bank holiday weekend, and then next weekend I'm going to go for maybe a jog and a walk, and do it in smaller chunks, then when I achieve that, I'll be like, oh, I'm one step closer to achieving my big goal, and that will increase my confidence and my self-esteem, and that will then increase my motivation to do more things. And it's kind of like a big cycle.
And maybe keeping like a record of it, so you can see the bits that you've done to remind yourself, okay, I did that.
Yeah, I really like that. I think it's really important because I think when we're feeling unconfident and when we're feeling low in self-esteem, we can kind of just forget all of our achievements. I know for me personally, I'm like, I'm rubbish at everything, I can't do it. And actually, I think when we write it down, or when we have like a little kind of like a chart that's like you can tick off, then when you're feeling that low, at that low point, you can look back and you can be like, actually, like my anxious mind is just playing tricks on me, and I'm actually okay. And Lisa said, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, I think, is a massive one, because like when we're low in confidence and when we're low in self-esteem, that's what we do, is we just stay where we're comfortable.
To that safe place,
and we don't ever change. And then we think to ourselves, why is my self-esteem so low? What am I supposed to be able to do about it? I'm lost, I don't know where to start. And it's because you're not pushing yourself, and you're not showing yourself or giving yourself that ability to prove yourself wrong, and to say, actually, I can do it, because you're just doing the same things that you always do. And I think it does take quite a lot of confidence to come out of your comfort zone. I think it's quite an anxiety provoking time to take that first step. But I think one of my favourite sayings is short-term pain for long-term gain. And I think sometimes with confidence and self-esteem, you have to just push through that horrible anxiety that can be crippling sometimes. And you have to have that dedication and that motivation to say, actually, I want a better life. I want to have more enjoyment. I want to feel confident in things. And even if it's not necessarily doing something, even if it's just challenging a thought, and that comfort zone of I'm rubbish at everything, that's an automatic thought that we're quite comfortable or miserable in. And actually, it's challenging that thought that actually I'm thinking this because I haven't given myself the opportunity to think anything else. And maybe if I was like, instead of saying I can't do it, saying I'll give it a go and I'll try my best, and if it goes wrong, then I'll practice some more and try again, and switching that mindset can increase your self-esteem, because you're being less harsh on yourself and you're giving yourself time to make mistakes and to not get it right the first time.
Recognising it is also a good way to boost that self-esteem.
Yeah, when we recognise that we've got low confidence, that's when you try and build it, isn't it? But when you go through low confidence and not really think about it, then you're not going to be able to challenge it. And also, like, going on to that, letting go of fear of failure. I think failing is part of life. We wouldn't stop our children from failing when they first learn to walk, or we wouldn't when they don't do something the right way, like they can't tie their shoelaces or something. We wouldn't punish them for that. We wouldn't say you're rubbish.
But they keep going. They keep trying.
And their confidence is separate to whether or not they can walk or whether or not they can tie a shoelace. And I think looking at that for yourself as well, I think when we set big goals, like what I was saying before, when we set those big goals that inevitably we're probably going to fail because we haven't done the prep, then you feel like you can't do it, and that knocks your confidence to come out of your comfort zone. And then when you do the small goals and you're less likely to fail, then that's going to build your confidence. And everyone feels like they can't do things. Even the most successful, confident people with massive levels of self-esteem still feel worried.
Something.
Yeah, so it's just a natural human instinct, I think, to be like, ooh, not sure about this one. But it's about that the way that they do it is that push on anyway. And I think, like what Lisa's saying, is changing that mindset about our ability isn't actually reality. Like what we perceive we can or can't do isn't necessarily the truth. And
that believing in yourself.
Yeah. And I think like what Naomi was saying as well is that our heads have to be a nice place to be. So feeling fearful and telling yourself you can't do it or you're going to fail, you probably will fail, because you're going to have spoken it into existence and you're going to go into it and you're not probably going to give it your all, and you're not going to give it your best shot because you're preempting that it's not going to work.
And isn't it, they say that like fail is like first attempt in learning. It's all about learning and just recognizing that you can do things.
Yeah, and it's just really difficult to put yourself in a nice place to be in your mind when you're so used to thinking negatively about yourself and having low self-esteem. And yeah, I think like something that I always do in the workshops is that if you fold your arms this way, that's how we've always thought, and that's how we've always said to ourselves. We've spoken to ourselves that way all the time. And thinking more positively and thinking differently and coming out of your comfort zone is trying to fold your arms the other way, and it just doesn't feel quite right. And that automatic way is to just do that, whereas it takes a little bit more effort to do it the other way, and it feels odd.
It a bit more.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good, that's how I process things when I'm like, oh, I'm having a negative thought. I'm like, oh, I'm doing this, I need to be doing this. And it's actually just keeping yourself accountable. And like Lisa said, and I think I'm similar to Lisa, I believe I have always been quite confident, but my self-esteem was not quite right, which then in turn made me think I wasn't confident. And for quite a lot of my life, I've been like, I'm really not a confident person. I've got a really quiet voice, and I'm really shy. And actually, everyone I meet, all of my friends are like, you are confident. You can talk to anyone. And I'm like, I hate small talk. I'm so uncomfortable when I'm just like doing small talk. And it's like, so I think my self-esteem probably was lower. So I was criticizing myself more, when in reality, I was coming across well and like I knew what I was doing and I was confident. And because my self-esteem was low, I wasn't focusing on that. I wasn't focusing on the fact that I could speak to a stranger, I could do my job now, and could go to uni on my own, go to Bali all on my own. Those things are confident things to do, but I didn't perceive it that way. So that goes back to how we think about ourselves, and I think as well with confidence, I don't know what you think, Kay, but I think with confidence and self-esteem, when it's really low, you don't stand up for yourself and you let yourself kind of be in the corner of the room.
You listen to your inner critic and you just think that that's how you are, without, as you say, standing up for yourself and showing that you can be confident. You are confident.
Yeah.
It's just everyone has working on it.
Yeah, everyone has the ability to be confident. It's just how it's nurtured, isn't it? It's how it's looked after. And also, I know in myself, and I don't know about you, but when I was really unconfident, I would let myself fade into the background.
Yeah.
And I would let people kind of walk all over me because I didn't have the confidence to say, hold on.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not okay. And my self-esteem was quite low, so that I didn't think I was deserving of something better. So I think a way to increase your confidence and a way to increase your self-esteem is showing assertiveness not only to your inner dialogue, but also to other people as well, and getting that respect from yourself and also other people is a really good way of building that confidence and that self-esteem, because you're going to be blocking out other people's doubts and you're going to be challenging your own doubts, which is really good.
And just talking kindly to yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of people I know struggle to look in mirrors. I did. And somebody just told me one day to just look in the mirror every day and just say one nice thing about yourself. And then the more you do it, the more you start to believe it.
Yeah. Sometimes it can feel really uncomfortable.
It can.
Like someone once told me to do affirmations and I was like, I don't like that. But actually
you do.
Yeah, now if I'm feeling that anxious, I'll be like, you can do this, you can do this, you can do, and that's an affirmation. I just thought about it differently. So ways to build our self-esteem is basically to identify what you're good at, find your meaning and purpose. And here at Isopia, we talk all the time about finding your meaning and your purpose, finding the things that you're really good at and that you really love, and honing in on them and just developing them. And like Lisa just said, feeling proud of your life and all that you've learned. Life can be so amazing when you open your mind. Literally, if you just focus on, and not just because it's quite difficult, but focus on the things that you're good at and the things that actually feel good, then your confidence and your self-esteem will increase, not only because you're practicing those skills and you're getting better, but also your belief in yourself is better, and you can then have those things like pride and enjoyment.
Yeah. It really helps if you enjoy what you're doing as well.
Yeah.
And that can certainly raise your confidence and self-esteem.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess it's talking about looking at those things that we're good at and those little areas that are easier to build our confidence. So if you're looking at it from like a helicopter's point of view, picking the easiest ones first, because that's how you get that. It's a skill. Building your self-esteem is a skill in itself. So you may as well start off on level 1 and do the easy ones and start off on level 52 and fail. So it's all kind
of linked. I really like
Naomi's
comment of that. We need to treat ourselves like someone we like.
Yeah. I think that literally comes on to what I was about to say next, is that learning to accept compliments. I think we've spoken about this before. Is that we both hate compliments. I'm like, don't tell me anything nice. And that, I guess, comes back to why I don't compliment myself, or I didn't compliment myself as much. And
you don't deserve the compliment, so you can't accept it, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, and why would we tell ourselves that you don't deserve a compliment? I wouldn't tell you that.
No,
and I wouldn't tell my
your friend
that. No. So why do we treat ourselves like that? And that's what we need to challenge, I think, definitely, is that you catch yourself saying something negative about yourself, being like, I wouldn't tell my mum that. I wouldn't say they're lying if they gave someone a compliment. And I think one way to really challenge that is to practice accepting compliments. And this is something that I had to do for a really long time. I used to have to set myself goals to accept more compliments, instead of just being like bashing them away and being like, oh, really? Like, oh, I don't really like it that much, or oh, like just saying something negative in return. I had to practice saying thank you, that was it, or thank you, that's really kind of you, or something like that. And then when I was given a compliment, it became automatic to just say thank you. And then in my mind, really subtly, I started to believe them more, because I was less defensive, and because I was more receptive to something nice being said about me or to me. It then like touched my heart more, instead of having all those barriers. And that can do really, really good things for your self-esteem. I think, obviously, we always need to talk about our self-esteem internally, and it has to come from within. But if you're really struggling with, like, sometimes people are like, oh, write 5 things that are nice about you. And if you're sat there like, I don't like anything, I've been there. Someone's said to me before, oh, write something that you like about yourself. And I'm like, I don't like anything. And then you get upset. Just changing it a little bit. Like, oh, I don't like anything, but I know Kay likes this about me, and I know that Lisa likes this, and Naomi likes this about me. So I'm going to write those things, and then keep looking at them, and then hopefully one day I will think those things of me. And believing them and choosing to believe them is really important. And yeah, it just comes back to setting those little goals, practicing.
Writing it down.
And then it comes down to eliminating that self-criticism and introducing that self-compassion. So treating ourselves like our friends and our family, and asking yourself, would you speak to someone you love like this? And if the answer is no, then why are you speaking to yourself like that? And it sounds so simple for us to sit here and be like, just speak nicely to yourself, you'll be fine. And it's not that simple.
No, we know it's difficult, but in the end it is worth it.
And yeah, I think also just affirm your real worth. So instead of looking at that list and seeing, okay, what do I like about myself, make it more specific. So what makes me a good friend? What makes me a good partner? And what makes me a good employee? And you will find something. Like, we have always said to ourselves, like, oh, I'm really organised, like Kay is stationary queen. And that's something that could be on your list. Like, you've always got a pen when someone needs a pen.
I don't mind sharing either.
Exactly, and that makes you a good friend, partner, and employee. But yeah, that's basically just our little tips and tricks for improving our confidence. I think we probably could both say that this is something that's always been a struggle for us,
and we're still working on it.
And it'll probably be a lifelong thing to work on. And if you're not a member at the moment and you do want a little bit extra support, then do give us a call on 01983 217 791. Or email us, or go on our website, and we have a confidence and self-esteem workshop that you can come along, and it has lots more tips, lots more tricks to go through. So yeah, I think that's it from us, and we really enjoyed speaking to you guys. So yeah, thank you.
See you later.